Hi, I'm Diane Bass, federal criminal defense attorney, and I want to talk to you about restitution. What is restitution? Simply, it is giving back the money that was taken in any kind of a case involving money. So if there is a fraud committed, any kind of fraud, tax, wire fraud, Medicare fraud, any of the different kinds of fraud cases that are charged in federal court, usually under the heading of wire fraud, then you are going to have to pay back the money. So how does this work? What if you don't have it? There are many questions that people have. First of all, most of the time people do not have the ability to pay restitution. Can you pay restitution, and should you if you can? If you have the ability to pay restitution, I always advise my clients to pay as much restitution before sentencing as possible. What that does is that it paints a picture of remorse for the judge. And that is generally the number one thing that a judge is looking for when they walk into their courtroom to sentence a defendant. They want to know if this person is truly remorseful for their conduct, because that means that they won't do it again. They're not going to be back in court again and again, returning to prison. And so not only is it important to express your remorse, and that's another video, that's something else I talk about in preparing for sentencing and writing a remorse letter, but also show the judge that you're remorseful. And the way that you show the judge that you're remorseful is you give the money back. If there is any way to do this, and if that means taking out a second mortgage on your home, if it means selling things, even if it's jewelry, if it means borrowing money from a family member, better to borrow it from someone you know than to borrow it from the victims or alleged victims in your case. The judge always wants to see that you've done whatever you can. And even if that's putting $100 a week in an account up until from the beginning of your case until you're sentenced, that's something that's going to make an impression on the judge. The judge is going to see your finances because during the probation interview, they do a thorough accounting of all of your expenses, your income, your assets. So the judge is going to know what you have and don't have. And if the judge knows that you're making minimum wage, you are renting, you have no, you're driving around in an old car, the judge isn't going to expect much. But if you come up with a few $1,000s, the judge will be impressed with that. Now, obviously, if there are hundreds of thousands of dollars involved and you can come up with the majority of it or a good chunk of it, the judge is going to be very impressed. However, unfortunately, on the other hand, if it's a $20 million fraud case and you've got a bunch of victims and you're going to give back $20,000, the judge isn't necessarily going to be so moved. It's not really going to move the needle for them. So these are considerations. Now, what is the difference between forfeiture and restitution? And again, this is something I will address in another video, but forfeiture is where they take the ill-gotten gains back. So this will come in the form of a seizure of your assets. So they may put a lien on your house, a lien on your bank account, and they're going to take the money back from you. And that may or may not go towards restitution. And that's a real messy area of the law. It's something that I can certainly try to negotiate with you. If you took $1 million from 10 victims, let's say, and the government seizes $10 million worth of assets, is that going to go towards restitution? We have to negotiate that. And sometimes the court will allow it, sometimes the court won't allow it. So we have to make a really strong case that that money that's been forfeited should go towards restitution. On the other hand, if there is no restitution, but you benefited unlawfully from some sort of a scheme, then the judge is going to want to disgorge you or take the money back from you from the offense. So this is a very in-depth topic. There are lawyers actually that specialize just in forfeiture law. So again, this goes much deeper than this, but this is a very general outline of restitution. The main point that I want to make is that if there is any way that you can make restitution prior to sentencing, you absolutely should. So if you have any questions about this topic, if you have a criminal case and you would like help with that case, please contact my office. All of my contact information is listed below in the comments, and I hope that this was helpful.